Is the new BMW M3 better than the Audi RS4? To find out, I'm going to compare their exteriors, their interiors, see how well they launch, see how well they brake, and see how well they destroy their tyres. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow. Let's start off this comparison by talking about the price, because there is a bit of a difference here. You see, the Audi RS4 starts from £66,000, whereas this M3 starts from £76,000. Reason for that is that you can only get the competition version in the UK, which has more power and more kit on it. Now let's compare the designs, starting with their faces. So obviously, everyone will say it's a no-brainer. It can't be the BMW, because look at that horrible kidney grill, beaver smile or snorty nose face. But you know what? See how big that grille is and compare it to this one. That's a bigger grille. To be fair though, that is a better looking grille. That's more aggressive though. With that snout and the contours on the bonnet, it just looks meaner than the Audi, which is better looking. Though, if you look closer at the Audi, maybe it's a bit of a facade. Fake, that is. This is fake here as well. On the BMW, none of the vents you see on the front are fake. Though, the Audi is still better looking. From the side, the BMW has quite a lot going for it. Huge side skirts. 20-inch alloy wheels are standard at the back, the 19s at the front. You can get different colour brake calipers. Big thing though is carbon roof as standard. You don't have that on the Audi. There is one thing that annoys me about the side profile though, the BMW, and it's that fake M vent at the front. It's horrible, though I do like the M-style door mirrors. However, I think fast estates are cooler than fast saloons. And I think overall, that's the reason why I do just prefer the design of the Audi RS4. No carbon roof, doesn't really matter. Side skirts aren't quite so big, doesn't really matter. Gets 19-inch alloys as standard, doesn't really matter. You can get 20s if you want them. And I do like these alloy wheel designs. Yeah, it's a good looking thing, this. From the back, it's hard to choose between the two because they look different, but they both look really, really good. They've got wide rear haunches, though I think the BMW is even more pronounced than the Audis. You've got 4 exhaust pipes instead of 2 on the Audi, but that doesn't really matter. The diffuser looks a bit more aggressive on the BMW. They've both got carbon on them because they've got the carbon packs, and it's tough. I'm leaning towards the BMW, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Here on the inside, the RS4 is really very nice. You've got your usual A4 build quality, but then it's lifted with things like these RS sport seats, which are in fine Napa leather. They're nice and comfortable. You've got a perforated flat bottom steering wheel, RS badging here, here, and all over the place really. You've also got carbon fibre in here because it's the carbon black version. The infotainment system, they've recently updated it, so it's the same as in things like the A6, and it's very easy to use. It's a touchscreen, that's how you control it. Digital driver's display, really nice, clear, with various views that you can flick through and go widescreen for the sat nav or just big dials and stuff like that. Really nice, simple layout, easy to use, classic Audi. Here in the back, it's nice and roomy, decent knee room, good headroom because it's got an estate body style, and the headroom's good despite the fact we've got the panoramic glass sunroof fitted, which is optional, and that's nice because it does just let more light back here so it's not too dark and dingy. I like the fact that your RS seats do extend here into the rear. Oh yes, honeycomb pattern, it's lovely. Here in the back of the BMW, you don't need the panoramic roof so much because you get enough reflection of this day glow orange interior, which you're quite welcome to have if you want it. Do you know I quite want it? I actually think it's slightly more comfortable here in the rear than in the Audi. Knee room's actually really good, and headroom seems to be better because there is no panoramic glass roof. The biggest difference I noticed though is that the seat base here in the back of the 3 Series is just bigger than in the A4, so there's more under thigh support, so it's better for longer journeys if you want to lounge like that. I prefer the BMW here in the front as well. I think the quality is even better than in the Audi, and it just has a more sporty feel to it. This one actually has the upgraded extended leather, so you get leather pretty much everywhere, which is really nice. It does come with this carbon fibre as standard. What you don't get as standard though are these carbon fibre back sport seats, and they are absolutely glorious to sit in. I love them. As standard though, you do get the M Sport steering wheel with carbon fibre on it. You get carbon fibre gear pedal shifters. They're not just plastic ones like you get in the Audi. You also get some configurable M1 and M2 buttons which you can press with pre-selected driving modes, and you get a special M gear selector knob, which is nice, and some M badging here on the sills as well. The infotainment system, it's good. You can operate it loads of different ways. You can operate it as a touch screen, using the swivel wheel, using voice commands, using gesture controls by waving your fingers about and stuff like that. Digital dials, they're all right. They're just not as good as the ones in the Audi. They're a bit dark and miserable, and you can't change your views in quite the same way. But there's various M features on there you don't get in the standard car, but then it's the same story with the Audi really. Still, overall, I think this has a nicer interior, if you like orange. But you don't have to have orange, there's lots of different other garish colours you can have. Oh, you can also have normal black as well, so don't worry. Right, let's talk about the car's boots. They've both got electronic tailgates. The capacity of the boot on this is 495 litres. On this, it's 480 litres, so fairly similar, though that's easier to load because you've got an estate tailgate rather than a saloon tailgate. You can fold down the seats in both of them. In the BMW, you do that and then have to open the door like that to fold down. There we go, fold it down. But you can never load it that full because you've got this bit always in the way, whereas with the Audi, just pull this lever here, lean in quite easily, push, and then obviously once you remove the load cover, loads of space. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. BMW are going to do a touring version of the M3, and then it's going to be a different story. But for now, the Audi is just more practical. Both of these two have chassis upgrades over the standard cars. So they've both got load stiffened sport suspension. The only difference is that the BMW comes with adaptive dampers as standard, and you only get adaptive dampers on the RS4 if you have the range topping 4-sprung model. They also get uprated brakes, 380mm discs up front on the BMW, 375 on the Audi, though they're both gripped by 6-piston calipers. At the back, 370mm discs on the BMW, 330 on the Audi. Both the cars do have a rear electronically controlled limited slip differential. They also both have automatic gearboxes with 8 speeds and launch control. Big difference between these two cars though is the fact that this is rear-wheel drive and that is all-wheel drive, though you will be able to get an all-wheel drive version of the BMW M3 for the very first time pretty soon. Now let's compare the engine stats. 2.9 litres, 3 litres, V6, straight 6, 450 horsepower, 510 horsepower, though that's because it's the competition version. We only get that in the UK. The normal M3 has 480 horsepower, but let's move on. 600 newton meters of torque, 650 newton meters of torque. Well, stats are all well and good. What really matters is how a car actually performs out on the road or out on the track. So I'm going to launch this RS4, see what it does. I'm expecting great things. They're usually good at launching, so let's do it. Launch control active, doesn't say, but it is. God. 0 to 63.4 seconds. What's the standing quarter? Stay brave, Matt. 11.72 seconds. That was rapid. You cannot argue with that. Impressive numbers. Next test. Brake test from 70 miles an hour. Here we go. Double foot stomper that was. The distance, 43 metres. It's all right. Now the thing about this very latest version of the RS4 is, unlike the previous generation, which really was just about accelerating and braking, this new one is actually fun to drive when you approach some corners as well. It moves about underneath you. It feels more playful than other RS4s have in the past. It's actually really good. It gives you feedback. You can have fun in this car. You genuinely can have fun in this RS4. And people with BMWs will be going, no, it's not the right kind of fun. It is good fun. On the road, it's good. And then you've got the security as well. I mean, this thing just going around this corner here, 80, like, yeah, whatever. And you don't think it's ever going to bite you on the arse. It's always got your back. And this engine, it's very powerful, but without being in your face powerful. It's just smooth, steady, builds up the pace. The gearbox, it's good enough. It's not the quickest responding gearbox. There's a slight delay between putting the pedal and the change happening, but the actual change itself is pretty nippy. And down the box, look. And if you want to overtake, say if you're in 4th gear, what am I doing, 50? I kicked down to 3rd for some reason. Hit the kick down switch, but there you go. Took off, and it's got a nice sound to, like, it's a V6 for you. So yeah, you can have fun in this car, no problem at all. And on the road, it really does cover ground very, very quickly. But the real beauty for me with the RS4 is when you go into auto. Let's go into comfort mode. Now you can get the car with adaptive dampers, which just give you a broader range in terms of the sporty feeling of the suspension being firmer and the comfort setting where it's a bit softer. This doesn't have it fitted, but actually it's not bad. It feels pretty composed. There's a slight sporty edge to the car, but you really don't notice it that much. It just feels like an A4, a normal A4 when you're driving around. It's quiet, it's serene, it's relaxing, it's easy. And that's one of the great appeals with this car for me. It doesn't feel like it's constantly prodding you to go quick. You can just drive around like, yeah, I'm just chilling in my A4, yeah, it's all fine. And you forget that you've got the RS4 until you think, well, I need to overtake someone quickly. You floor it and off we go. And then you're reminded, oh yes, that's why my monthly payments are so much. It's the RS4. It's a good all-round performance car that just ticks every single box. Well, almost. Now I'm going to take the RS4 out of its comfort zone, because sometimes with these cars you want to do some behaving badly, some skids, some sliding around, and that isn't really Audi's forte, is it? However, this RS4 does have a rear drive biased all-wheel drive system and a rear differential, so it should be able to send torque to the wheel with the most grip for decent traction. Got stability, which I can turn all the way off. Let's give it a go, see what happens. Come on, don't embarrass yourself. I'm talking to both myself and the car. See if it'll go. Actually, it did go. I could see a lot of smoke though coming from the inside front tyre. Oh, no. It does it a bit. You know that you can bung this thing into a corner and apply the throttle and it'll slide out on you. But after a while, it does just start to go straight because four-wheel drive. Barriers. It does start to go straight, so you can't do like a constant donut, but you can spin it around. I'm going to try it again, but in first gear. That's enough of that, it feels horrible. I've now jumped into the M3 because drifting and donuts is its thing. It's even got an M drift analyzer where it'll grade your drift for angle, time, and even give you a star rating. Got everything turned off, let's see what this is like. I think I'll do it in second gear. It's definitely got the power for it. Let's go the other way. So controllable. I can do this all day long. Flick the bird to the cameraman. That's a bit rude. Oh well. Kind of turns you into a bit of a hooligan, this thing. Let's do something else. Oh, I forgot. Let me just check my drift analyzer. So, my maximum drift angle was 30.7 degrees. My drift length was 321 yards and my duration 27 seconds. And I got a full 5-star rating. Yeah. Rear wheel drive is great for the drifting, but not so good for the launching. But let's see how it does. So, preparing launch control. Launch control is active. Oh, it managed its power really well then. What we got? 3.62 to 60. Can it beat the Audi though of the standing quarter mile? Oh, it's getting scary. The answer to that question is yes. 11.6 seconds over the standing quarter mile. Beat the Audi over the standing quarter mile. Wasn't far behind it. 0 to 60, that is really impressive for rear wheel drive. With the previous generation M3, when you launched it, because you have to have the stability control all the way off to launch it, it would spin up its tyres. This, it's like they've really worked on it, like they've tested it over and over again and made it feed in its power rather than just dump it all. Or maybe it's just because this engine is more progressive. That is pretty amazing. Let's put that back out. I had a load of sun in my face, do my head in. Alright, let's do a brake test from 70 miles an hour. See if this can stop quicker than that Audi did. Oh, whew. It beat the Audi. 39 metres. That's quite a difference. That's a car length pretty much. Obviously the M3 isn't just about accelerating or about braking, it's how it goes around corners. So I've got the car in its sportiest setting, and this car gets, as standard, adaptive dampers, and they're in a stiff setting, which means that it doesn't roll at all in the corners. It stays really flat. The steering is very, very responsive. So you just turn it a bit and the car is turning in. It's a bit more flighty than the RS4, but it's not edgy, it's not too jerky. It does give it a more sporty and responsive feel to it. Gear shifts just seem a little bit quicker than in the RS4 as well. And the engine, when you start thrashing it, it's just noisier, it's more aggressive. It's not spiky like the old M3s, but it definitely has more punch than the Audis, which is more smooth and linear. And it shouts. Listen to that. Another thing with this car, it just feels a little bit more adjustable to the throttle. So if you're mid-corner and you lift off or accelerate, you can feel it either turning in when you're lifting off and just pushing wide a bit when you accelerate more. Just seems more controllable, more agile. Thing is though, what's this car like when you just want to cruise around? So I'm going to go into auto, I'm going to go into comforty mode, efficient, comfort, 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 comfort. There we go, all comforty now. I can feel that the adaptive dampers have gone more relaxed. So you do feel the bumps more, but it's not terrible, it's not jarring. It does deal with them okay, but you're in no doubt that you are sat in an M car, even when it's in its comfiest settings, just by the way it responds, the way it's just noisier in here. I mean, when you get at speed, you get quite a bit of tyre noise, more so than in the RS4. When you put your foot down, the gearbox does respond though really nicely. Wakes up quickly, even in auto mode. You're in no doubt that you've got the M3. You're not going to like forget and go, oh, I've just got a normal like 320D, and then oh, you put your foot down and then oh, I remember now. No, you always know this is the M car, and it is always egging you on. It is always goading you to just go that little bit quicker. On a longer journey and everyday driving, it's going to be a bit more tiring than that Audi, but being in it and driving it just seems like more of a sense of occasion. If that's your thing, then this is your car. Problem is that you always want to go quickly in it, which could be bad for your life expectancy or your license. But what a thing. Whoa, what a thing. So then, what's my final verdict? Well, the Audi RS4 is a really good car, but the BMW M3 is even better, and it's as simple as that. That's why it wins this group test. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like. Click on that window there to watch a video, or that window there to watch a different video. And if you click on that box there, you can download the CarWow app. It's completely free, and you can use your camera to read a car's number plate, and the app will tell you how much that car is worth.